Hey guys, it's Mike with Become the Night. How you doing tonight? I guess you're wondering why I'm holding a guitar. Honestly, because it's more visually interesting than just my face. So I just got done watching the presidential debates tonight, and I've been drinking a lot of whiskey because of it. The only reason why I was drinking a lot of whiskey is because I was playing a drinking game to the debates. I drank whiskey until I woke up from this nightmare. But I'm not gonna touch that topic anymore. What you guys came here for was why Metallica's St. Anger album is high art. Alright, so looking at the album from objectively, regardless of who the band is, just on a musical standpoint, but then taking in the context of what time it came in as well, it's an average record. It's really not that great, but it's not terrible. It's just kind of in this weird middle area. Some solos would have done this album a lot of good, and better production. But looking at it in the context of Metallica as a band, I can definitely understand why people were pissed. The only reason why I wasn't pissed when it first came out is because that was the first Metallica album I bought. I was a preteen and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm buying this thing without my parents' permission and I'm so cool and so dope. But coming back to it now, it's very much unlike Metallica and kind of a disappointment. But as I was stating before, even if you take the entire band out and just look at it just as a piece of music, the context of the time is always relevant to that music, at least in order to really appreciate it. If you look at the context of the time, not only what was happening in the musical world, but especially in the context of what was happening in their band, they're already getting a ton of flack over about a 10-year period for being sellouts between the Black Album, Load and Reload. I mean, I actually like those albums. Sorry if that triggers anybody. I actually like those albums, but I can see where the traditional Metallica thrash head would say that that's BS and they're just trying to sell to the masses. Believe it or not, I do feel genuine expression from them in those albums. So they're coming back for their fourth, fifth album, something like that. And everything's just going hoop-de-doo, like, oh, it's just another documentary for another one of our albums, no big deal. Suddenly, James walks out and slams a door. And we're all like, this isn't right. Although in all fairness, he seems like he was probably like that a lot. And then the whole controversy drops if he's an alcoholic, he has to go to AA. I would say he's probably not an alcoholic, he was probably just a pissed off person who had to re-examine his life. I wouldn't be surprised if he was drinking something during their anniversary. But then just before he pieces out, Jason Newsted's like, see ya, you know? I mean, especially considering this is the second time that this has happened to them, where they've had a bassist just leave unexpectedly. Well, according to Jason's story, it wasn't totally unexpectedly. But that must have taken a big toll on him. So he's in rehab, Jason's gone, so Lars is just sitting there thinking, man, I've no one to argue with, you're too nice of a guy, and Kirk's just sitting there like, man, I probably should do less solos. So because of that, the documentary comes across as extremely genuine, and I feel for those guys, especially being a fan of theirs for so long, and you see them in their most vulnerable moment. And I say most vulnerable moment, not trying to give them praise like it's an ugly thing. It makes you feel hurt, it makes you cringe a little bit because you know some of the stuff they're doing is stupid. And that guy that was trying to give him counseling, I met him once. Jason Newsted was right. It was just an overall feeling of really uncomfortableness, really an ugly feeling because you thought, oh my gosh, my favorite band ever is about to break up. Well, for some people. At the time I first saw it, it was my favorite band ever. That's no longer the case, but that's besides the point. And then you saw them at their highest of highs during, things like the Black Album, things like Master of Puppets, and then you saw them at their absolute lowest, where they had no more confidence, and this was a band built on having confidence. But then at the same time in that documentary, there were moments of laughter and fun. There were moments of just f*** it. We're gonna be us. We're gonna enjoy life regardless of what was going on. And by the end of it, I mean, there was some sort of revolution. They found a new bass player, thank goodness. But that situation was more than just an ugly time. It was actually a time of rebirth for them. They went away from the loads and the reloads, and they went back to Death Magnetic, which also gets criticism, but without a doubt is more truer to their original style. And even their new album, which I'm honestly, the 2 songs I listened to, not a big fan of, but even that comes back to more of their original style, is definitely truer. So on one side it's gross and disgusting, but on the other side, it's a rebirth. It's like it's a literal phoenix rising from the ashes. 2 feelings happening at once. And in a way, tonight's debate kind of made me feel the same. Not that there was any rising from the ashes, there was no triumph tonight at all, but in the sense that something, given true context, that is entertaining, has multiple levels of emotion, strong emotion, impacted upon you, I would call tonight's debate high art. I simultaneously felt like cringing, I felt disgusted, I felt like laughing so hard, and at the same time I felt like dying. And on that level, I do consider it high art, because it made me feel so many emotions all in one thing, so drastically, it has to be. So if you take the Saint Anger album in context of that documentary, it is high art. You feel the ugliness, the grossness of what was going on during that time in their minds. But at the same time, you also feel that there's a certain confidence there that wasn't there on Load or Reload. It was gutsier, it was ballsier, and they didn't care what people thought about it. That was true Metallica. Most people hated it, and they still said, F you. That's Metallica to a T. So in that sense, to reflect what was happening in that documentary, that album mirrors it perfectly. Anyway, so that's my thoughts on it. If you guys disagree, that's fine, because honestly I'm not 100% sold on it myself, but it sounds damn good right now. For those of you that are interested, I am done with my All Along the Watchtower cover. As a matter of fact, Darkion, if you want to send me a direct message, I will send you a link to get a copy of the song. It may take at least a week for me to get this video up, because in light of how awesome it sounds, I want to make a real music video. So because of that, I have to put together a storyboard, have to look at locations, I need to get it filmed, have to edit it. It's gonna take a minute, but I promise you it will be out less than 2 weeks from now, guaranteed. Hopefully a lot less. In the meantime, I appreciate you guys watching my videos, and I will see you in the next one. Rock on.